Seema here, and we shall continue with transformation of sentences, part 2. Now, transformation, students, once again, it means changing the form of the sentence from one type to another without changing its meanings. And the types that we are going to cover today are to add a question tag, to make from affirmative to negative and vice versa, exclamatory to assertive and vice versa, imperative to assertive, and finally, we shall be doing interrogative to assertive and vice versa. Vice versa matlab uska ulta. Interrogative to assertive to interrogative. Now, before we go to the transformation, let us understand the different types of sentences. And we will look at the meaning, we will look at the punctuation and the formation. Now, let's take the first one, assertive. An assertive sentence is a declaration. You are just giving some information. There is no emotion there, and therefore it ends with a full stop. The formation, first subject, then verb, and then the rest of the sentence. Next, exclamatory sentence is when we are expressing a strong feeling and the sentence ends with an exclamatory mark. And there are two types of exclamatory sentences, one starting with what, the other starting with how. What plus a or an, that is article, plus adjective, plus subject, plus verb. What a beautiful house it is. Next, we have how plus adjective, plus subject, plus verb. How beautiful the house is. Next, we have interrogative. Now, interrogative is a question and it ends with a question mark. There are two types of sentences. One, a WH question, and two, a yes-no question which starts with auxiliary verb. A WH question will be WH word, what, which, when, where, how, plus auxiliary verb, plus subject, plus main verb. Where are you going? Or we have auxiliary verb and subject and then the main verb. Are you going? These are the two types of interrogative sentences. Then we have imperative. Imperative means a command, a request, an advice. It ends with a full stop and the verb comes first. The subject you is hidden. So if I look at you and say, open your books, then subject hai you. Lekin hum you open your books nahi bolte because we are directly addressing you. So the subject you is hidden. Students, these are the types of sentences and we'll need the types because we have to make changes in these. From exclamatory to assertive, vice versa. From interrogative to assertive, vice versa. From imperative to assertive. So, now let's start with the transformation. Now, let's start with the first one, that is add a question tag. Now, what do you mean by a question tag? How is a question tag? The question tag formation is like this. You have to write the statement that they give you, the question that they give you, then put a comma, then write the auxiliary verb and the subject pronoun. Now, what is auxiliary verb? It is a helping verb. And what is a subject pronoun? The pronoun that matches the subject in person and number. Matlab, if I say Ram, the pronoun should be he. If I say Sita, the pronoun will be she. If I say Ram and Sita, the pronoun will be they. Now, let's take a look at the rules. The first one. If the statement is affirmative, then the question tag is negative and vice versa. Meaning if the statement is negative, the question tag will be affirmative. Let's take a look. First one, Salman can paint. Now here the statement is affirmative, so the question tag can't is negative. And here Sachin hasn't attended the function, has he? The statement is negative, so the question tag is affirmative. Now the next rule, if the sentence contains an auxiliary verb, use the same to form a question tag. For example, your sister can teach music. Now can teach में can auxiliary है, तो we use the same auxiliary, but statement affirmative, तो question tag negative. So we say can't she. Can is an auxiliary, we use the same. But if the sentence does not have an auxiliary, use do, does, did to form the question tag. Do or does present tense, did past tense. Let's take a look. You work very hard. Now work students, main verb, इधर auxiliary नहीं है, तो you will use the auxiliary do or does or did. अब select कैसे करेंगे? Work present tense, तो do or does. लेकिन you है, तो you can't say you does, you do. So you will select do, but make it negative, क्योंकि sentence affirmative है. तो you work very hard, don't you. Next, let's take a look at the other rule. If there is an imperative sentence, imperative, मतलब order, command, request, suggestion. तो जब order होगा, तो आप क्या लिखोगे? Will you. If there is a request, you will write won't you. Now, some peculiar types. Peculiar, कुछ हटके, थोड़े अलग. I am angry. I am. तो हमेशा जब भी I am होगा, you will write aren't I. Next. If we say let us, then you will write shall we. Next. If you say there were many people on the road, your question tag will be weren't there. मतलब subject there है, तो आपका question tag में भी subject there ही रहेगा. Next. Everybody has learnt the lesson, haven't they? Now everybody has, तो everybody is considered as singular. फिर हमने haven't they क्यों लिखा, plural क्यों लिखा? क्योंकि it includes all people and we don't know whether it is he or she, so we will say haven't they. Okay, these are some of the rules that we have to learn for question tag. Now, let us take a look at the exercise. The first one is already there. इसका आंसर है. Let's see कैसे आया. The cactus has water. अब यहाँ पे has is a single verb. तो हम क्या करेंगे? Do, does, did में से use करेंगे ना. तो the cactus, so we will say does. लेकिन affirmative है, तो question tag will be negative. And we will write doesn't it, क्योंकि cactus is it. Next. She taught me patiently. Okay, didn't she? अभी यहाँ पे भी आंसर है. कैसे आया? Taught, past tense है, तो हम didn't use करेंगे. Didn't she? Next one. अब ये वाला हम करते हैं without the answer. Last night you cried an hour. Cried, past tense, single verb. Come on, tell me students, क्या आएगा? Past tense. So, again you will write didn't. But you है subject, तो subject pronoun भी you ही आएगा. So, your answer would be didn't you. Next one. I have great news for you. The verb is have. Okay. Now, एक ही verb है, तो we need do, does, did. I है, present tense है, तो do or does में से select करना है. तो I do have. That is why you will say don't I. Okay. Next. Now we move on to another sentence. I am startled by the images of myself in the ceiling mirror. Now, ये सब पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. We are only concerned with verb. Am startled. Am is already an auxiliary. I'm going to use the same. But remember I said I am becomes aren't I. So the question tag will be I am startled by the images of the mirror in the ceiling's mirror. And the question tag will be aren't I. Next. The Murar gate has sentries at attention. Again, has, एक ही verb है, main verb है, तो वो auxiliary नहीं है. We have to use do, does, did. Murar gate has, present tense, तो do or does. Okay, it does. So I will say doesn't it. Next, the peafowl is considered a divine creature. Is considered. Again, is the auxiliary. I will take it but make it negative and I will say, isn't it. Next, the mist affords certain privacy. Affords, single verb. So, I will use do or does, present tense. So, the mist does. Therefore, I will write, doesn't it. Next, we have assertive sentences and we are going to make assertive too. In assertive, we are going to do affirmative and negative. But let's first understand what is assertive. It's a statement or a declaration. Okay? जिसमें हम सिर्फ information देते हैं. And it ends in a full stop. This we have already seen. Now, the structure of an assertive sentence is always subject plus verb. And अगर आगे कुछ और है तो you add that. And it ends in a full stop. Now, assertive के दो type होते हैं. Affirmative and negative. तो अब हम कौन सा ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन देखेंगे? Affirmative to negative or negative to affirmative. Now, let us take this. Negative to affirmative and vice versa में सबसे पहले देखो negative sentence क्या होता है? उसमें negative words होते हैं. What are the negative words? See there on your screen. No, not, nothing, never, none, neither, nor, not only but also, no sooner, dot dot than. ये सब negative sentences होंगे जिसमें ये words होंगे. And what is affirmative? जिसमें ये words नहीं होंगे will be affirmative. तो जब हम negative to affirmative करेंगे या affirmative to negative करेंगे, please keep in mind, if you are making negative, आपको negative word use करना है. If you are making affirmative, आपको negative word निकालना है. लेकिन students, meaning change नहीं होना चाहिए. So there are many ways. We'll just take a look at few of them. Now, I don't like leafy vegetables. ये negative है. उसका आंसर देखिए. I dislike leafy vegetables. तो not निकल गया. I don't like का मतलब भी same है. I dislike. हमने meaning change नहीं किया. लेकिन sentence affirmative है. Okay, let's take another one. They always go for a swim every morning. तो always, that means they never fail to go. हमेशा जाते हैं. कभी चूकते नहीं है. तो always का when you change to negative, you can use never fail to. Next one. They do not tell lies. Okay. Now here, what will you say? Will you say always tell the truth? Yes, you can say that they always speak the truth. Or you can say they refrain from telling lies. This is also correct. They avoid telling lies, they refrain from telling lies, or they always speak the truth. तो ये कुछ हो गए sentences which are affirmative to negative. There are various ways. Just remember, अगर make negative है तो use negative words, don't change the meaning. अगर make affirmative है, remove negative words and write something which will not change the meaning. So some word to show the same meaning. Okay? Now, let's do the exercise based on this. Affirmative to negative and vice versa. First one, we can't have everything. Can't. Students, model auxiliary में किया है ना? Can is ability. तो able to लिख सकते हैं ना? Okay? But here we are not saying we are able to. We are saying we are not able. तो उसका positive word या affirmative word क्या होगा? Unable. So here you are saying we are unable to have everything. That is, meaning does not change. Next. All I could see in her bedroom was earnestness. Sorry, all I could see in her face was earnestness. Okay. So here what will you use? That I could not see anything except earnestness in her face. Okay. So when you say only, then you can say anything except. Similarly, all I could see, that means I could only see earnestness. You will say, I could not see anything except earnestness in her face. She refused to take any credit. Now, negative करना है इसको. Sentence affirmative में है. Make it negative. Refuse मतलब did not take. So simple. Next. It was so unlike your normal behavior. Unlike, ये affirmative है students. So we have to make it negative. Unlike को negative के लिए not like. It was not like your normal behavior. So some sentences are very, very simple, students. Just remember that the negative, अगर sentence है तो उसमें negative word होना चाहिए, affirmative है तो उसमें negative word नहीं होना चाहिए, meaning change नहीं होगा. Now, the plant is useless. Again, useless का opposite, useful. But are we saying it is useful? We are saying it is not useful. तो हो गया ना negative. Next, Purandar is close to Saswat. Now, close to का opposite, far away. But are we saying it is far away? नहीं, we are saying it is close. मतलब negative use करके opposite word. So we will say Purandar is not far away from Saswat. Next, the Mahatma uttered only one sentence. Remember I said only के लिए what will you use? Nothing except. So we will say the Mahatma did not utter more than one sentence. Nothing except one sentence. I couldn't sleep. Again, I failed to sleep or I was unable to sleep. Both will be correct here. Now, the next thing that we are going to do is exclamatory to assertive and vice versa. But let us see what is exclamatory. Now, exclamatory is a strong feeling, ends in an exclamatory mark, starts with what or how. So, if I say what a cute puppy this is, okay, this starts with what, or I can say how old he is. Even that is exclamatory. Now, let's take the formation. Here, students, when we are making exclamatory to assertive, just take a look at the way we go about it. First of all, exclamatory sentence and assertive sentence का meaning देखते हैं. Exclamatory, expressing strong feelings. Assertive, it is a statement or a declaration. Next, exclamatory ends in exclamatory mark, but assertive ends with a full stop. Next, the sentence formation. अब exclamatory में we have what or how. ये हमने पहले भी देखा. What a beautiful house it is or how beautiful the house is. दोनों statements for exclamatory, what and how. What के साथ a और an plus adjective plus subject plus verb and how के साथ adjective plus subject plus verb. और assertive formation कैसे होता है? Subject plus verb and we use words like extremely, indeed, very. मतलब assertive अगर बनाना है, exclamatory से अगर assertive बनाना है, तो वो strong feeling maintain करने के लिए we have to use the words extremely or indeed. And let's take examples. What a beautiful house it is. So we will say it is a very beautiful house. If I say how beautiful the house is, I can say the house is very beautiful or I can say the house is indeed beautiful. दोनों भी चलेगा. लेकिन कोई कोई sentence ऐसे होते हैं if only, exclamatory में if only, तो when you make it assertive, you will say I wish. Please remember that, students. अगर if only वाला structure है तो you will say I wish. Let's do the exercise. Now, the first sentence, I stared at the stunning 20-something woman in front of me. Now, here, students, we can't say what I stared. So, you will say how I stared at the stunning 20-something woman in front of me. And remember to put the exclamatory mark. Next, she made the subjects interesting. Again, you can't say what here. You will say how interesting she made the subjects. Next, we have what a beautiful flower. It is an exclamatory sentence. Make it assertive. That means we have to add one word and then we have to start with the subject. So you will say the flower was indeed beautiful. The flower was very beautiful, was extremely beautiful. Any one will do. You can also say is because here it could mean even present tense. Next, it is extremely difficult to tear yourself away from this place. Again, you will use how. How difficult it is to tear yourself away from this place. Next, Lord Krishna's association with the peafowl is legendary. How legendary is Lord Krishna's association with the peafowl? Now, students, we go to imperative to assertive. लेकिन पहले देखते हैं what is imperative. Imperative means command, request, suggestion. and it always starts with the verb. When you look at someone and you command him, you say, shut the door, open the door, bring me a glass of water. Even if it is request, you still start with bring me a glass of water. You can say, please bring me a glass of water. It is imperative. Now, here the subject you is hidden. Okay, subject है, you है, लेकिन वो sentence में नहीं है. It is hidden. Now, let us take a look at the structure. So, it is going to be verb plus object if any, and the subject comes in the beginning. And the examples are, here let's take shut the door. Next, please keep quiet. And the third one, don't panic during exams. All three starting with the verb. Please only shows that it is request. Let us see how to change from imperative to assertive. Students, imperative sentence starts with a verb. It is a command or a request or a suggestion. And an assertive sentence starts with the subject, then the verb. Now in imperative, the subject is you and it is hidden. But in assertive, when you make it to assertive, you will have to write the subject you and then the verb. So when you change, you will add the subject you before the verb. But one more thing, if it is an imperative sentence, it is a command or a request or a suggestion. And here, to express that, you have to use a modal auxiliary. जैसे अगर suggestion है, तो we say should. अगर order है, तो we will say must. Let's take a look. Example, avoid eating junk food. अब ये imperative है, क्योंकि verb से शुरू हुआ, तो इसका assertive में आपको subject लिखना पड़ेगा. Subject is you. So you will say you and then you add should because it is suggestion. You should avoid eating junk food. You are using modal auxiliary according to the context of the sentence. मतलब suggestion है तो should और compulsion है तो must. Now let's take a look at the exercise. First one. Accept your friends as they are. मैंने कहा ना imperative में हमेशा subject you. लेकिन accept you are advising. तो you will say you should accept your friends as they are. Next. Don't keep your fingering the spot on your face. Again you are advising. And therefore you will say you should avoid fingering the spot on your face. Or you should not keep fingering the spot on your face. दोनों correct है. Next, keep bags in between rather than besides your feet. ये भी आप एक suggestion दे रहे हो, तो you will say you should keep bags in between rather than besides your feet. Next, get a thorough medical checkup before you get on to a long trip. Now this must be some rule. Therefore you will say you must get a thorough medical checkup before you set out on a long trip. Allow your friends to be themselves. Suggestion. You should allow your friends to be themselves. Next. Now students, we go to interrogative to assertive and vice versa. Now what do you mean by interrogative? It is a question. सबसे पहले हम assertive to interrogative देखेंगे. Okay? Now, what do we do? Assertive to interrogative, punctuation will change, full stop will become a question mark. Now we know that assertive to interrogative करने के लिए we have to start with a question word. तो सबसे best start with a question tag. उसी sentence का question tag लेके आप interrogative बना सकते हो. बहुत easy है. Question tag हमने already किया. Students remember, question tag में sentence affirmative है तो question tag negative. Auxiliary verb है तो उसी को use करो. नहीं है तो you now use do, does, did. तो वही question tag लेके आप sentence बनाओ. Let's see. She can create magic. इसका question tag क्या होगा students? We know it is can't she. तो अब हम क्या करेंगे? Take the same question tag. Can't she create magic? And you will write a question mark. Next, he went to play. अब यहाँ पे students, there is no auxiliary. तो we use do, does, did में से एक option. Past tense है, तो we will use did. So we will say the question tag is didn't he. Now how to frame the question? Take the question tag. Didn't he? Can you say went to play? No, didn't is past, went is also past. दो past tense साथ में नहीं आते हैं, तो we will say didn't he go to play. Once again students, assertive को interrogative बनाने के लिए क्या करना है? Take a question tag and make it into interrogative. Now he will win everyone's heart. Will का negative won't. So we will take won't he and we will say won't he win everyone's heart, putting a question mark. Next, we will now do negative अगर है sentence. ये क्या है? Interrogative to assertive. अभी हमने क्या किया? Assertive to interrogative. Now we will see अगर question है तो उसको assertive कैसे बनाएंगे. अगर rhetorical question है, rhetorical मतलब answer is not expected, then you will use negative to affirmative and affirmative to negative. So let's take this. Can't you keep quiet? तुम कभी चुप नहीं बैठ सकते? तो I am not asking you, I am telling you that you should. So we will make it into assertive and we will say you can keep quiet or you must keep quiet. Okay? Because it's a rhetorical question. Next, अगर affirmative है तो we will make it negative. Example, don't you love ice cream? Now what are you trying to say? You are trying to say you do love ice cream. You can say you love ice cream, you can say you surely love ice cream, or you can say you do love ice cream for emphasis. So, when you are making assertive from interrogative, अगर rhetorical question है, तो अगर question affirmative है, तो उसका answer will be negative and vice versa. लेकिन question हमेशा rhetorical नहीं होगा, कभी-कभी real question होगा. जब सचमुच का question पूछते हैं, तो you will use I want to know or I wonder and then you will write the rest of the sentence. For example, what is your name? ये rhetorical नहीं है, ये सही का question है, सच्ची का question है. तो you will say I want to know your name. I would like to know your name. Next, do you think India will win the game? So you are trying to wonder, you are trying to think. You will say I wonder if India will win the game. तो ये हो गया real question. Now, let's take an exercise. Interrogative to assertive and vice versa. सबसे पहले, will you be home for dinner? अब ये interrogative to assertive. जब interrogative to assertive decide, real question है कि rhetorical? सच्ची का question है ना? तो what will you do? You will say, I want to know if you will be home for dinner. Next. 1 minute of laughter is worth 40 minutes of deep relaxation. This is assertive. You're making it interrogative. Now use a question tag. Is. So your question tag will be, isn't it? But इधर it नहीं लिख सकते. जो subject है वही लिखना है. So you will say, isn't 1 minute of laughter worth 40 minutes of deep relaxation? Next one. A young woman garlands me. Again, assertive है, उसका question tag क्या है? Doesn't she? लेकिन she की जगह आप क्या लिखोगे? A young woman. So you will say, doesn't a young woman garland me? Next. The face of the statue seems flushed in the heat of the battle. Now ये भी assertive है, question tag, seems, एक ही verb है. So here you will say, doesn't it? But इनकी जगह the face of the statue. So you will say, doesn't the face of the statue seem flushed in the heat of the battle? Next, why should your consent be half-hearted? ये rhetorical question है students. So now make it negative. It is, your consent should not be half-hearted. So that's it for today. Thank you.